known that you're allowed to have things during the year. I ask right now in advance to get this thing passed. I ask that you at heart and mind that you might come on one accord. You might be able to stand together as one group, one purpose. And how do you disagree that you allow things to be a meaning of what you're doing? So bless you. The treasurer is excused. The board did receive a financial report, but I'll let the treasurer present that report at next month's meeting. I need a motion from the floor to do so. Do I have such a motion? Tony Brown. Do I have a second? Fred Wood. And as such, I'll have to do the minutes from this meeting, from the recording of the meeting, because due to the fact that Secretary asked. So I would ask that you kind of make an aisle way for that camera, so I can make sure that everything's recorded. The Secretary, who would have presented the meeting, the minutes from last month's meeting and such, is also absent. And so I need a motion from the floor to get those reports at such a time when he is here to produce them. Do I have such a motion? Paul Willis, second. Cornegate, Lynn. All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. I oppose, same sign. The motion is passed. I'm going to try to go through the process of each process. Having not done those minutes, those reports. Okay. I will straight to those things. Is there any old business? Old business.
Talk about like custodial position,
whatever. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I was just wondering what's going on with that negotiation, or how they going to do that, because they've been talking about it for so long, and they now want to produce it out.
They have been talking about it a long time. We always seem to have a drag sort of on classification things that move slowly, regardless of what venue you put it in mostly. But it's still alive, and we have a model that's being that is supposed to be tested in the medical center for. It is in our classification table. And so it has been established. As usual, there's sort of a schism between med center, student life, and FOD facilities about what it exactly does, and there's a pay range issue for each different department. And so I think that'll be tied up pretty close. Hopefully it'll be done for negotiations. If it's not done for negotiations, which will start in about May, actually, then it'll be a negotiation issue. And then it'll get wrapped up. So I'm thinking before July, that it'll be running, it'll be up, and people will be able to facilitate it. Especially with the sort of speed that's going on regarding orders. Exactly. That and one university. Because that's fast coming in the department to start to 411. Right now at the top, we don't have a lot of personnel exchange yet. Not yet. But my prediction is before July. And my push would be before July. Hopefully, Dave?
I was going to ask about the group grievance and the classification issues, and I can talk about the near consequences in the workplace or stores of the extensions if you want to hear that.
You can, I don't remember over here, if you want to report it.
Well, people know back in 2009 the group filed a grievance on what's going on with the classification system about non-management and management personnel taking union duties and bargaining unit duties, and duties that were in our attendance, and we all kind of signed off on that, and it changed to a resolution of disputes so it would become more palatable for management. It's been extended since that time, and from what I understand, and I'll find out from Rich in a moment, that's probably still in the works. But in the meantime, the near consequences to the storage area where I work as a store supervisor is people in non-bargaining unit titles are doing bargaining unit work. And I've got an assistant manager doing bargaining unit work a lot of the time. He's 30 years younger than I am, and his means of pulling things together is to equalize things between me and an information associate who's working, a clerical title. Not up to the job, in my opinion, but his way of bringing his assistant manager title together is to equalize us and make work assignments that are even between us both. This ability to make job assignments not only addresses his interests, but it kind of dissolves my status and sense of worth on the job as a storekeeper one. And it's also really tough, if I may say, to be a much older, much more experienced employer or employee than my current assistant manager. It's tough to take rebuke from this guy, for example, like he'll say, "What are you doing?" And just giving me a hard time on the job is his means of getting control. Everybody who has a supervisor knows that the supervisors get their grip by making you a subordinate, putting you down and degrading your job and equalizing you. Well, it's tough to take that off a new hire or somebody really young who's been leapfrogged through the non-existence of a classification system that we protested back in 2009 and we endured as employees. So they've got their little kingdom set up in the storage area and they're working that angle. And I thought I'd report on it because maybe something we might want to tighten up in our bylaws or in the next contract is this extension process. Because during the grievance procedure and the extension process, you have to comply with whatever management decides is best to do because you can't interfere with production. You've got the grievance procedure. So extending it for years and years means, in my area, management goes on with what they want to do. You suffer the consequences. So that's the report. Maybe we can get an update on where we are on the grievances or on the resolution, on the dispute itself. Thanks.
You're welcome. The response to that is that I think that you may not have deeply recognized is that it has yet been moved to State Board of Review as a request to add those people into the bargaining unit to see if they properly function as non-bargaining unit members. So I'm talking about the information associate. And so it has been moved out of the resolution reviews in the State Board Personnel Review. As you know, they can make classification decisions, and it was thought to be more expedient to do that way, even though it's still lingering, because I don't think that the university and the union are going to agree on those things. And so they'll adjudicate what they think is in line for that. So we just saw that sometimes issues that big are just too big for grievance or resolution of disputes. You kind of all depends on the cooperation. So they had suggested some things for storekeepers that we just couldn't get together on. And we had suggested some things that they didn't agree with at all. So we'll do it that way. So somebody else will give us a decision, and then we have to make a decision on that. And I think, and I've turned that over to the attorney, because the attorney will really get back to me and tell me where that is and how that's going to be done.
If I can follow up a little bit on how destructive this is on the university's part. First, thanks for your patience working on it, pushing it through the different arenas. I kind of know in a way that has to be done, even though I'm frustrated dealing with it every day. But one of the consequences of management not having a classification system is instead they kind of have a favoritism, discrimination thing going on between young and old, union and non-union, whatever division they can work in the workplace, they visibly do it. So what happens is, socially, they We had an attorney come in from the university for a training session at stores on ethics, believe it or not. And I thought, well, who are they going to get to teach that? I'll have to go out of state to get somebody. But they had an attorney talk about that. And it was most interesting to see all my coworkers see who was going to sit closest to the ball. And all that stuff was going on. So instead of a production focus, you have a power focus on the middle management of the workplace. But that has nothing to do with productivity and your sense of task completion or what you get out of doing your job. They created a monster and they've got so top-heavy organization now, so many middle management that it's almost like they serve the management here rather than serve the students or the youth. So it's a complete distortion, and I hope the attorney has a sense of that to go in here and get some decent contract language. But when management gets that, they feel it's so awful for us as a union. All these people who've moved up based on favoritism and discrimination are fiercely loyal to their bosses, and they hate the union. So that's the social consequences. Just so everybody knows, that's what I'm looking at. Probably other people not the same thing.
I think that you can eliminate it. I mean, I believe that since probably very close to the time begun, there's always been division that weakens. It always does. And not just the university bringing in this or that, but we have international that come in as working force all over the country, which says we'll work for less. So it's not an individual sort of focus effort, it's an international effort. And it's kind of working. It's no different. I promised myself I was going to talk about this, so I'm breaking it. It's no different than the campaign for Senate bill or issue 2. So the division is private sector, public sector. It always is a strategy, and it oftentimes works, and that's why they oftentimes keep using it as used. But Willie Lynch, I think it was 1812 or something like that, talked about dividing people on anything they could, short, tall, light skin, dark skin, just young, old. So it's not new. We have to sort of, as a workforce, find a way to campaign to maintain our identity and maintain the focus on the reality that we're just so much stronger together than divided. And you have to bring on people almost like a preacher to an altar call. It kind of makes them believe it. Now, I think that it's true that it kind of has functioned in a way that's almost very kind of different. But the truth is, it's a very almost spiritual, almost soulful kind of goal that we have. You got to kind of believe in it, and in that belief, you got to be inspired to preach about it. And you can't do it if we're a little confused about our identity again. And so that's really, I think, the remedy for it. Getting to that remedy for it is a different question and a different initiative that has to be done. But I think you've got to do it because it's coming down all around and all around. Classifications in all areas of public work have been eroded. All areas of public. And I can remember, it probably started long before I know, but I remember watching a 60 Minutes shot, talked about that before, about public schools, union workers, and the rule that custodians, painters, could only paint up to 7 feet, and then they had to have the maintenance men come in and paint from 7 foot down. So it took 2 people to do one job. It took twice as long to get it done. And that was a televised, publicized assault to say, look at all this money that's been wasted. Look how inefficient that is. They don't do that in the private sector. And then they did the salary thing. So it's not new. We have to find an effective way to handle our neighborhood. Because that's what I look at the university community as. And the St. Trade State Union, I look at that as all our neighborhoods. And so, you know, we struggle quite a bit with a behemoth of an employer. But I think we do pretty good for the size we are, for the things that we have that the others, like the state, some counties, they're just losing. And while they're doing that, we are hanging on and pulling up. We just have to do that. We had some discussion about some of the state entities in our union, and they're looking at OCSCA with their, I don't know, I think they're hanging around 45,000 men. And they just negotiated their contract with no raise. No raise. Then they did some other things back that were furlough days, you know, or days off, layoffs, or temporary layoffs. I think they don't have those. They don't have a raise for 3 years. I don't believe that well, first of all, I don't believe we would be in that situation. And if we're faced with it, we don't have any intention of having no raise. Because what they have, no raise, a rise in insurance, which is essentially a pay cut. So that's what they, 45,000 minutes. Department of Corrections, Department of Transportation, you know, so we're not going to look for that kind of situation. And we have to just fight. And everything has to be approached. They don't want to do that. I can tell you now they don't do that. The environment is such that there's so much sort of corporatization going on. They don't want to look at issue by issue. And our plan is to kind of shave down all of it. But our belief is that there's so much to be done that there's some that have to be addressed regardless. It just has to be addressed. And so that's how we're going to push forward, recognizing and acknowledging what you're saying as to be true. But not the, and there's a lot of different departments, a lot of different things going on. The transition is happening at the same time about departments coalescing. We have little mid-managers leaving. We've had people took that retirement incentive. It was very well received by the membership, so it has taken some of our top people away. We're still kind of looking at the numbers. We know that we have reduced from like about 150 people, maybe a little more. And those people, because of eligibility is based on their service time, those were top dues paid, money earning people. So there's a 360-degree effect. I'm starting to get present. But 360-degree effect, and we have to keep marching on. There's no retreat. And we'll continue to push forward with the things that will make your work life better, which do not include classification, wages, and some sort of permanent move on benefits. It just has to be done. I mean, that's our purpose. I hope that that's a while I answered your question. Thanks.
I live out east. March 1st, there's going to be a master plan signed off on for the development of OSU for the next 15 years. Me and Dr. Steele have been trying to, as community activists and for looking out for the best interest of the work, especially jobs for the next 15 years. I'm here to remind the membership and of the union that this is a very, very, very important issue. If you look to growth, as the university expands its footprint into Wyndham Park, as it expands its footprint into the east side, the OSU is going to go from 50 to 65,000 students. It's going to grow. So we're at a crossroads right now. And I hope that the union and its membership pays real close attention. This is great.
what sort of saddens me anyway is that most states, a lot of state counties and city politicians have seemed to have just fallen in love with President Key. You know, it's a little nauseating, but it's not that important. The important thing is that he has influence. President Key is on the board of trustees. And so the governor is giving state of the state address and saying, you know, I wish I could get next to President Key. He's a great man, blah, 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 President Key. The mayor is lauding, saying that President Key is his brother from another mother. You have city council members talking about President Key as if they are forlorn family members. So, you know, some of those people are the same people that we did for support, for, you know, wages which are equitable, treatment which is equitable, and a sort of sustaining of our civil service system. So it's a little nauseating to see that kind of love go on. But I believe that the way we go now is that we don't be distracted by personality. So the personality is going to be personality and those others, because, you know, they're disseminating money back and forth to one another. We have to go to influence the influencers. So those quiet people who we may not know, I mean we know, but, you know, they're not only the politicians aren't lauding, those are the people that we have to move their mentality. So I don't intend we don't intend to focus on President Key or Mayor Mike. Maybe not even some of those legislators. You know, the ones you don't hear so much about that are kind of on our side. That are on our side of the issue. It's not a big deal as far as ideology, except for their ideology is that workers should make a living, should be gainfully, and be treated in a way that workers are treated at the strength of the union. You know, I think in the 50s, 35% of the job was a union job. Today it's 7%. Bring it home, because, you know, a lot of people say, why are you talking about politics, why are you talking about national? Well, because it always affects politics. Very seldom does not affect politics. The review of issue 2, Senate Bill 5, here in Ohio, which a lot of you worked on, made calls, marched, protested, carried signs. They're talking about it all over the country as a review of the ideology that public workers, one, don't produce, two, make too much, or retirement too much, don't participate in, and are a drain on society. And we did a lot of that in this building, and we did a lot of it in Columbus, and most of it in Ohio. Wisconsin was happy to see. Indiana's governor decided not to push forward on it too much. He thought that it was politically damaging. And so you bring those things home all the time. You bring them home. How does that affect us? So this is the presidential election year, and some other seats are up. And so we have to pay attention to that because it comes back home. Back to the point. The point is that we have to influence the influencers. So somebody like Representative Steele, somebody like Sheriff Brown, we have to touch them. Touch him in a way that when he says it, you're wrong. That's what I'm saying. That's what we got to do about it. You know, it's very familiar. They said, you know what, Gordon, I think we want to do something with it. We've been touched. We have some information. What can we do? And that's sort of the model that we intend to use at this point, and not concentrate. I say be because we get personality, but it also includes, you know, regularly negotiations go to the table and people. And so I am weary sitting down talking to people that have no they're basically our message carriers. So we tell them something, they take it, interpret it whatever way they interpret it, go and tell somebody else. So that's not really our message. And the elf is the person that we want to affect. And so we're looking at people talking about increasing maritime defense. And so our stand is to push against those increases for elevation. They also talk about nothing, I don't, surpasses being treated unfairly if you volunteer to come every day and get trapped. That's almost the epitome of servitude. I was going to say slavery. Of course, it's Black History Month. So it's almost like slavery. You know, you come to get beat. Our intention is to turn that thing around. And we do it in like short time. And you know, the formula in which we typically start is communication. So we have a communication team. We're trying to touch you every way we can. Every way we can, electronically, we still do the newsletter. We take these meetings. We have a follow-up meeting on Wednesday evening. Every way we can. Try to get to a saturation. And quite frankly, we are going to, when I talk about influencers, we're going to put an electronic media message out to some of those people that we talked about, and some of them we didn't talk about. Last week we were in Washington, D.C., and we had a delegation that went to the Hill, which included Kevin Steele and some other locals. And we talked to some, you know, Republican senators. We talked to some Democrats. We talked about, you know, where we come from as far as who we represent and the kind of things that we wanted. It was national things mostly. Right to work legislation. The legislation that's important. Well, actually, the judiciary put in place that says that, number one, corporations are people. And money is freedom of speech. So, what they're saying is if you have enough money as a corporation, you have, if you're a corporation, you have human rights enabled. And if you have money, that's your speech. So you can speak to, distort, and elect the government as you see fit, without restrictions like having to tell who you gave the money to, and having to worry about how much it was. So basically, with that decision, we just buy it. We buy it. And nobody has to know you gave the money. So we talked about rerouting that, letting the legislature do that instead of the judiciary, and taking that money out, bring it home. So these people love presidents, like the governor and such. If the people who say that public workers don't work, get too much retirement, and don't pay enough for their insurance, are bought by insurance companies and companies that would have you consume them and enrich them, then what you got is somebody that's going to bring you off because they get paid enough. That's what the bring it home part of it. Nationally, when it comes back home. So I believe that the millionaires that we know, maybe not personally, like Western and such, they become more and more empowered. So we have to fight those kind of things. Their ESOP, really, it's just bought. Really, it's just money. Bring that home. If you want to live somewhere around there, charge rent or charge the price of the property, whatever you want. High, no, you, because actually the city council, it's been bought and can't be bought. So those are the kind of restrictions you look for. I just want to try to bring it home because it does affect you. And we will have to spend some time suggestions. We have to bring that home. That's all the way to put it forward. In world business, because I think I just erupted you.
I would still say management is still not trained and stuff like that too. So.
Well, I agree. And you know, I think another thing is we have to be smart enough is not to demonize men. Right? They're people. They help. But let me say this. They are grossly unimpressed. Some of them know their particular skill. Right? I said some of them. But in your department, I want to say it fair. In your department, you have the director of HR, who comes from OSU, and it was a significant difference with that person there than it was before she got there. And it was a difference in cooperation and a difference in sort of adjudicating justice. I call it justice. Amount of fair. So I expect for that to come towards you and that department. Like you have a lot of these people. You still have Jim K. But Jim K is a reasonable soldier, and as a reasonable soldier, his leadership will absolutely do things differently than he has been doing, and he'll follow it. So, got to do something about management. Personally, I have asked time and time again to fire. Now, fire them so that they have the belief that they have to do things in the correct way. So I said to your vice president of your department, I said it to the vice president of FOD, fire. And if you have qualms about that, bring them back in a week. They want to work for you, but let them know that you have the authority to do business. They fire us. Fire. Who should you fire? So they should have the same sort of authority over that if they care. They probably don't care, which is there, but I want them to either treat you fairly, right? Second part of that, will treat you fairly, or go work somewhere else.
Yeah, we got too many managers anyway.
Well, that's what Dave was talking about a little earlier. You got
area managers,
saturation, but that's the thing. And so the suggestion would be to sit it down. I think it's going to be sitting down all over the place because their budgets have been cut. While people are making millions, they're cutting the budget to the department, and it's not Reagan talking about trickle down. This is flooding down on us. But I'm telling you, you got to be able to recognize. When I say you got to know your identity, they don't get anything done without you. It's like inverse reality. They don't get anything done without you. You really have control. When we get our identity together, we'll realize that and then use it in a way that puts us somewhat in control.
And people that have been there, been here for years in that department, and still just coming in, it's like their pay is like basically where we are at. And the people that have been here in between the highest years and the lowest years are getting messed up. Like,
actually,
we should get more money.
Well, actually,
we get more money.
we had a meeting yesterday, and part of the conversation was salary compression. It doesn't move well enough up, down the chain. So that's going to be that is an issue that actually their conversation people are working on. And we're looking at that. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you outside.
It's probably across the board.
It is. Now, I can't say it's not across the board because there's so many different departments. I mean, there's a couple that doesn't happen because of the way it's been set up and scaled. But I'm sure almost every department has it. I'm sure. There's some that are a little better at it than others. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
It's funny you mentioned the word Sedesco. I know them very well because...
Can you stand up a bit?
Oh, my name Mike.
Sorry about my shirt. I know it's offensive, but
Don't love me. I can fit it. I wear it.
I worked for, well, I used to work for, I worked for Howard University about 9 years. I went to college there, and I was trying to go through school. When you mention the word Sodesco, they're monsters. It's funny that word Sodesco, I'll never forget that name because I was going to school and I ended up getting my master's, and I was going to, you know, I'm going for an attorney and I want to be a lawyer, so I ended up getting Teamsters. I ended up dealing with Teamsters. We're trying to get a union in there. They almost got successful years ago. The reason why they didn't get successful with it, I got 3 write-ups. I was able to get them thrown out because I knew the books, because I knew the law books. So I was able to set the man up, put flyers on the cars, off my brakes. I wasn't on no clock. They were writing me up. I got written up 3 times. Teamsters represented me. I got the write-ups thrown out. It took me 4 years to get the manager fired. I accomplished getting the guy fired after a while. He got fired, and I got him filed complaints. I had a total of 8 complaints through Teamsters. And they fought, but Teamsters really wasn't, they were there, but they really wasn't there. I hope you guys get them. And I end up, the way you said it, I hope you guys accomplished that goal. The reason why we didn't accomplish is because I was trying to get the union in there, but the people, I was getting the cars around, no one really signed the card. It was like everybody wanted me to do this. I risked my school, basically, almost. I risked my school, trying to get free school. That's when I got blessed to get Ohio State to finish up we're working on my college, my law degree. But it's like, oh my God, Sodesco was a trip. I cried day by day trying to help those people there. It was tough.
Money, that's what I was going to say.
It was tough.
It's tough. And money is a brutal task, man. It's absolutely brutal. But that could be achieved. It takes years and years sometimes to do.
Yeah.
You lose people along the way.
Yep.
But you have to be even-minded. And so I'm saying to you, it's sort of a social, cultural war that you have to keep pushing through to get to what you want to get. I think we have some wonderful ideas. We have to strengthen our strategy and influence the influencers. So this is going to be one of the first sessions that I know of, other than like 2000, where we are really going to start out with bringing people in and going out almost first public before we bring it in. And influence the influence. Because we have really big personalities and that kind of pressure. We're going to do everything we can do. It's going to be coordinated. And our affiliate groups, NAACP, Job for Justice and such, Ministerial Alliance, looking for everybody to kind of benefit. This is a people issue. It is not a political issue. And so we have to find a way to articulate that in such a way. And I think we can do it. So I'm going to move to new business. And the first part of new business is Deb Steele is here. And someone else, I'm sorry I forgot the name. So they're going to talk to you a little bit about a couple of things. And then when it's done, then I'm going to talk to you about negotiations. So Deb and Nick, that's right, Deb and Nick. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks again for letting me address everybody. And I'm gonna put these dates up on the board, but I'm gonna give you like 4 or 5 dates of things coming up. And first of all, like last Wednesday night, we had a teach-in at University Hall, so that the students need to occupy hodgepodge of activist week every Wednesday night at University Hall. And we did a teach-in last Wednesday night about what is Poindexter Village, what is OSU's interest in the Near East, why does OSU say we're not interested in Poindexter Village, we have a map with big red arrows to it. So we did a teach-in there, and it was attended by 35 to 45 students. Mr. Harris was fantastic. And just sort of really urging the students to use your education now, and that we need you helping us. And the more I've thought of this, like students have nothing to lose, and so many people who step up in the community get bit by stepping up. So next Wednesday night, this coming Wednesday night, we're going to do a second teach-in about what is a community benefit agreement, because that's really the solution to gaining with OSU rather than losing with the expansion. So a community benefit agreement, 5 bullet points. We want an impact study done now. Local hiring provision, family sustaining wages and benefits, a community garden effort, a career ladder. Totally reasonable thing. So I've created these 5 bullet points, and if you're part of an organization that you think would sign on to that, now is the time to get your churches or your civic organizations to join with us. We're going to be meeting with the mayor's, a guy on the mayor's team next week. If the mayor doesn't give us good news and support us on this effort, we're going to have to attend his State of the City address. That's on the 29th. So we'll also see the date. So it's coming Wednesday night. We have the CWA teach-in at University Hall, 6:30 p.m. Tuesday the 21st, Jobs and Justice always has our monthly meeting the third Tuesday of the night here at 6:30 to 6 p.m. And then Monday, February 27th, we're going to have a people's town hall about the parking lot issue here. So a lot of people signed these petitions I have. I have like 600 physical signatures. And these things are all moving so quickly. Like, you know, they bought a new parking lot, or OSU required a parking lot, and that doesn't be bundled into their sales. We don't stop them. February 29th is the State of the City, so, you know, I'm not saying we're going to shout down the mayor or anything like that, but you may need to be reminded, those 5 bullet points, why wouldn't you support things like that? If we had a local hiring provision, that would help the local tax base, rather than OSU sucking the resources out of the tax base. So you'd be a fool not to support that, and we need to take that public if you don't. And we really need traction on this before next month's meeting. So if you could call your state reps, Carlton, Weddington, Cynthiano, let them know that you support the community benefit agreement, you're an employee of Ohio State University. It's hard to make sure they pay family-sustaining wages now. And why are we incentivizing them moving forward? 4,000 permanent jobs and no reassurance. So crazy stuff like that. And March 1st, the students are going to have a mass mobilization on campus, pushing back against overall student debt and just kind of runaway big development. And I'm expecting 300 to 500 students, and they're probably going to make the parking lot issue a big battle cry. I don't totally know where this mobilization is going to go. I'm not in on all the conversations, but I think they're going to start at the Oval, hopefully go to 15th and High. I'm a fan of visibility on High Street. So those are some dates I'm going to post again at the back. And then this is Nick with USAF. And as far as Sodexo at campus, Nick and I were planning for that issue a year and some ago. So that's over 100. It's about 100 and some staff at OSU for Sodexo. That contract benefits about $10.5 million a year. $5.5 million goes to Sodexo in France, and the other $5 million goes to OSU. So when they brought up the Sodexo worker from South America who had to take a pregnancy test before she could get her job, she spoke to Gordon Key and said, you know, I work for this company. They're bad human rights abusers across the world. Maybe you didn't know my situation. He said to her, oh, that's not my problem. You have a human rights problem, but it's not my problem. Yet he's happy enough to take $5 million a year on your campus. So that is something that I think those folks are going to have a chance to get a union in a year and some. They won one on Dominican more recently. So that's a kind of past event that's still in process, and that's kind of what brought me working with USAF. And so Nick's a part of USAF, but he actually is here for something with his education. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that segue. Yeah, as I said, my name is Nick. I'm a co-president of Sweatshops, which some of you may have heard of. USAF, as we call it, actually, at OSU campus, actually started with the CWA fight to have a union at like 1999, like 2000 area. So like, you know, kind of really like what started our group here. So it's really kind of like hitting home. We're also aware that you're undergoing contract negotiations right now, which I know is always like a time where I feel like the true colors of like, you know, the dynamic between the employer and the worker are really like kind of shown. So these are some critical times here at OSU, and I just wanted to let you guys know that like whatever struggles or like, you know, roadblocks you have down the road, you know, we'll always be behind you like 100%. Like, you know, a lot of love. That's all I have to say about that. But yeah, like that said, like I am Alternative Use Act, but I'm actually here because I'm doing research in the sociology department, like social work, with Steele. And basically, trying to sum this up as succinctly as I can. Like with the parking lot issue, the OSU is kind of like going through this enterprise university kind of model, where they're going to move from having all this like public wealth to like parceling out like private assets such as the parking lots, which are basically going to result in like OSU profiting in the long run, but like in like the very long run, like parking lot thing. Is it 75?
No, they don't even profit in the long run. I mean, it's awful. And that's what we're going to try to review February 27th. It doesn't make sense in the near run, and it doesn't make sense in the long run for the university. If it's a good buy for Wall Street, it's a bad sell for OSU. It's just for Wall Street. We'll get back to that on February 27th.
Yeah, so with all that, basically, like he's like faculty, he's like tenured faculty at OSU, and he's had his advisor actually, and he kind of came to me saying that like there were all these like faculty initiatives basically that they presented to like all the departments saying that like basically you have to like construct your research proposals to like follow like one of these three things, which are going to like benefit OSU as an entity, Columbus, and like Ohio as further like like making this broad generalizations and stuff like that. With all this money, theoretical money that they're getting from action like privatizing parking lots and stuff like that. And he went and like asked the person who was conducting that and like asked if there was any consideration whatsoever as to what the effects of like moving towards like leasing out private assets, which is going to lead into a subcontracted workforce, and what effect that's going to have on this community as a whole. And there was absolutely nothing considered whatsoever. So we're talking about like Sodexo, which I worked for a summer like organizing that workforce at OSU, and it is great. Like there was a national agreement reached, and like what Deb said, at ODU they now have a union, and they're working on contract negotiations right now, which is like fantastic. But still, Sodexo workers who work at like Shopping Center and Ohio Stadium and stuff like that, they're still in pretty bleak times. And I'm actually going to be working with them as well. So what I'm actually here today to let you guys know about is that I'm actually, with this research, I'm looking to interview both, in-house unionized employees of Ohio State University and also subcontracted non-unionized employees such as Sodexo and all those others, to basically kind of give a comparison of like, how this general pattern of like going towards subcontracted workforces, which is basically OSU denying accountability towards that workforce, like what pattern that's going to have on like the college community as a whole, which is what they're theoretically saying that like we're like we're getting all this funds for research, which we're going to like use to make the world better. So it's like completely contradictory. So that's basically why I'm here, looking to like talk to any and all of you who are interested in giving your story, like kind of just having a one-on-one. I'm not actually that great of a public speaker. I'm more of a one-on-one person. So please don't feel hesitant to come over and talk to me, ask me what I'm even talking about if you're not entirely sure. But yeah, my name is Nick, and I want to meet you guys. So thanks for having me. Yep.
Can I get a hold of you?
Yeah, I don't have a card or anything, but I'm going to stick around until like everyone's gone, and I'm just going to be in this shirt, this face, this hair. So.
He wants to talk about it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, new business. As part of the business, still on new business. Contract expires in June. Next week, in a week, you'll be getting the form to do on-camera interviews. The format is that you'll be asked questions, and after the questions are asked, then you'll have some time to freely talk about those things that human workers need, desires, wants, criticism, whatever you want to talk about, and you'll be able to talk about it, be part of the presentation.
Ability of education to our supervisors means we're going to wipe out the union and get the cheapest people contracted in here that we can. So the slogans of the owning class and the stormtrooper politicians that run out ahead for corporations like the Tea Party and the Right to Work folks and SB5 folks. Those people, even though we want to influence them, I think the heart and soul of it and the identity part of it has to come to a head, and I hope that's what comes out of the DEP. Because the people who do the work deserve the money and the credit, not the hot shots at the top. We want the same system of grinding workers apart. And I'll call it slavery, it's wage slavery, just because they pay you, or it doesn't make it any less slavery. So influencing the influencers is fine for publicity, but if solidarity is at the heart of that, I'm all for it. I hope we can pull that together. So, thanks, Nick and Deb.
Thank you. We've had a conversation this week. I'm going to respond as you get. Community benefit agreement. The attorney, Calvin, and Deb have spoken and met on the possibility of doing that in some joint manner. And so I don't know exactly what came of that short meeting, but that is, as we say, that's on the horizon. Don't know if it'll work out. I don't intend to influence those people that are so deep in their ideology. That is a more, I think, focused approach to do for us. I mean, I don't know if Wexford's in the Tea Party, and I don't know if Shoemaker's in the Tea Party or something like that, but I do know they're on the trustees board of OSU. So if they happen, nobody does this one thing, so whatever it is, but those are the people we have to reach. I'm not that concerned about the others. And of course, I believe that it's an exercise not just for publicity, but it's an exercise in participation for the future of what the working force is going to be. And nothing's more, I think, important than that participatory sort of democracy. And I think that you probably remember that. I think you beat me up about that for years. So this is our step to come forward, not beat me up, but to encourage me about that. And I think this is a way to do that. But, be a part of the system. I think I responded to most. Calvin,
Thank you. Here's the reason why this is so important. In history, you always come to a crossroads. In Columbus, Ohio, everybody looks to Ohio as the decision maker. As we go into the election year, Obama was a community organizer. Steele is a community organizer. So if we're going to go about playing the game, I come from basketball ideology. That's what I do. So I play to win. So we're going to play to win. Let's have a strategy. Obama, Steele, let's get on the same page. And let's use the power base, the students. Why the students? Because they will come after your job. They will intimidate you. Can't intimidate the students. Why? The students are getting paid. They have a scholarship, and they can't intimidate students. You cannot legally intimidate students because they have a become school. The last strike at this university was student-led participation and or threat. And they couldn't handle that because the parents said, what did you do? What's going on with that? What's going on with that? Then they asked the trustees, what are y'all doing to my students? What about housing? What about food? What about busing? What about this? What about that? Because of student-led activism. Now, history says this. Go back in history. Go back to California, wherever. Go back to Kent State, wherever. Let's look at history. The students did it. The students. So, pay attention to this book. We have a strategy. Let's work the strategy.
I don't want to belittle the activity. Participating with students is very important. But student-led is a little heavy for the 2000 strike.
Okay.
Student participation,
Supported.
student support is very important happening. I mean, we probably couldn't have been as successful without it. The student-led is a little people walk out of jobs at 1 o'clock in the morning, right at the beginning of their shift, 9 that it may be inaccurate, a little, it's a little inaccurate, but that's not diminish the importance of support from the student community and encouraging those people. I wish I knew who the first person who walked out the door. I just know it was a worker and was retired and fed up with it. And that, then it just rolled and rolled and rolled, and student activity and participation was pivotal. Absolutely. But I want to be on the record. I wouldn't call it student record. So that's our activity for the next 120 days to 180 days. Is to get that done and move forward with an agenda that presses up against the flesh of, oppression. I don't want to be over dramatic, but I'm telling you, it hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. They have always a 20 to 50-year plan, and this SB 5 issue 2 thing was a battle. It is not the war. So we won a battle. The war is still raging. So you still have to be sort of ever present and militant towards pushing it back. Even though our numbers are down, we got to push it back, and it is only the smart thing to do as people use division as a weapon against you to have Jobe Justice, NAACP, community organization, ministerial alliance as a unifier for our company. And so I encourage you all to do those kind of things. We're going to be putting out ask. The current word, contemporary term is ask. Ask someone to do something. And so we're going to be putting out ask. It's going to seem like daily. It's going to seem like that. So if Deb put out an ask about calling, you're going to see those asks coming about calling. We're probably going into the season about phone banking. We're going into the season about home visits. We're going into that season, and it's regrettable that I term it going into that season because it just should have never stopped. But folks were pretty wore out. Pretty wore out. And so normally springtime is the time for rejuvenation, but this time, now is the time for rejuvenation. We got to do it again. Just like Calvin was talking about basketball. It's for a period. It was only like halftime. Maybe we caught a breather. We got 2 more periods to go, and we got a whole schedule of games. So after this game is over, everybody else is together. So we have to be prepared to do that. We'll do all that I can to help us be prepared and to do those kind of things that gets us where we need to be. Time check. Fast time. Well then, if it is past time, and I hear no more, I need a motion to have the drawing adjourned. So I said, Greg Woods, Paul Willis, all in favor of said motion, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion is passed. We'll have the drawing. Now, blue jacket tickets, you can take one or the other. The last 3 digits are 085.
085. That's the wrong one.
085.
All right, Patrice. I got a brand new Ohio State jacket. You want to switch on?
The hockey tickets or you want the money?
Which is 25 miles away. So $25.
$25.
I'd have took the hockey. Oh yeah, definitely.
$50. I'm sorry.
Come on, draw my number. That'd be nice, first time. This would be nice. First time coming and get a car. You said $50?
And everyone fill out the